Well, we've got a program which sends a character. We now want to write a RobotC program which receives a character in the second NXT, which has the NXTBee associated with it or attached to it. Let's change the RobotC image so that it will fit the area of the screen that I can record, and don't worry about that at the moment. We'll look at that in a moment. Okay, now this is the program that we'll use to receive the characters in the second NXT robot. We've got a character command here. This is where hopefully the character we've sent from the first robot will end up. This will take the value y if that y is received, for example. Now, while true, we've got an endless loop here. It'll receive more than one character, and this particular procedure is a special one. It sits there, and once we've started it up, it sits there and runs around inside that until it actually finds a character. When it finds a character, it puts that character in command. That'll be our uppercase Y, and it changes this to be true. Okay, and so if it's true, then we can come into here and we can do lots of things. We can use the value of this character command to trigger an if statement so that we can turn sensors on and off, we can turn motors on and off, and that sort of thing. In this case, because it's this to be the simplest possible program, all we've done is just type out something on the second NXT robot screen to show that we've received it. Okay, now, so relatively straightforward, but if we try and compile this, it doesn't compile because this procedure is a special one which is not part of RobotC that I've written to try and make things a bit easier. The whole program is here. As you can see, this particular procedure, receive character, is a bit messy, and I won't go into an explanation of that just now. We'll look at that later in this procedure. What we want to do now is to just check if this will compile. We haven't pressed the button on the NXT robot. One of these days I'll remember to do that. It started up, you probably heard it, and we'll try this again. And there we are. Since we haven't got the other NXT sending characters yet, we won't actually run that. That'll be the next section. So at this stage, it's compiled okay, and you can stop your looking at this video now unless you want some sort of details of this rather messy procedure up here. So if you're only interested in using it, stop at this point. If you're interested in the details of rough overview of how this works, then continue. Okay, well, it seems you want some sort of further information. Right, well, the way this is set up is that this enables the high-speed port in the second NXT receiving robot, sets it up. This sets the rate at which it expects the data to come from the first NXT robot. It's got to be the same speed as the first robot, obviously, otherwise you'll have hassles. The channel is set up the same way as in the first robot, and in Xander's procedures we've got to put the data into a U-byte variable, and we'll call it incoming data. Now we've set data waiting true. Okay, data waiting is a variable which we set true, and while data waiting we just go through this endless loop, and it goes round and round this until we actually see something. Right, now if it doesn't see anything, if this is false, it just flips back, waits 25 milliseconds, and then comes round again and checks again. and it'll keep doing that, checking to see if any we've received anything, waiting 25 milliseconds and then having another go. Okay, but if it actually finds something, this whole thing will be true and it comes into this part of the program. Okay, so if it's found something, what happens then? Now, we've asked for the incoming data. We've put the uppercase Y or whatever it is we're getting into there, and we're saying it's 1 character long. Okay, and we read that in. So we've now got the uppercase Y into this variable. What do? Well, in this case, we've got a debug statement here, which you can remove at some later stage if you want to. It just says we've received this character, and we're putting this character on the second NXT's screen along with the ASCII value of that character, and we set my character equal to the character form of that data we've just received from the first robot, and that my character will come out in a procedure. We've got ampersand there, which means this value can be taken out of this particular procedure. We've set data waiting false, so it flips out of this and finishes this. It says we've found a character. Let's close everything off. We then close off port 4 and we set return equal to true. In other words, the whole thing is true. And that's a very rough outline of how that particular one works. If you don't understand this, don't worry too much. Just use it at this stage. Understanding will come later when we've had a bit more experience with RobotC. So that's the program. Next thing to do, of course, is to try the two of them together and see if they work.